Hello, everyone. This is our screencast to get you started for this week in World Studies 7. The first thing you're going to want to do is look at our checklist for the week so that you know what exactly you need to do. And just as a note, if you need to look at what you have to do for your other classes, you can click on this right here and it will take you to every single teacher. All right. So for this week, the things you have to do that are graded are the Introduction to the Renaissance, which is a slide presentation with a lesson guide that goes with it. And as part of that, there is a formative assessment called Renaissance Changes, Claim and Evidence, which you'll be completing when you're done with all the slides and the lesson guide. Our May Due this week, our extension, is a really cool presentation on who discovered America. There are a lot of different theories out there who may have discovered America before Columbus. And so I would strongly encourage you to take a look at that. It's just really interesting. All right. So here is your checklist for the week, the topic with the points associated, and the due date or deadline. I would just like to point out, though, that these points may end up being different depending on how the county directs us to enter things into our grade book now that we've gone to a pass, no credit system. So as of right now, this would go into the classwork, that 10% category, and this would go into the 90% category. But if we are directed to put everything in the 90% category, this assignment is going to become worth more than this assignment because this one is an assessment and this one is just for practice and to prepare yourself for the formative assessment. So just keep that in mind. For those of you that struggle with organizing yourself for the week, we always have a schedule down here with suggested things you can do each day to keep on track to finish on time. And again, this is not required. This is just an optional pacing guide. If you're struggling, and we've broken it down into about 15, maybe 20 minutes a day, so that you're not spending hours and hours of time on this all at once if you don't want to. Special note here is Wednesday is our office hours where we will be delivering live instruction from 2 to 2:25. The topic this week is humanism. It's a really important idea that came about during the Renaissance, and you need to have a really solid understanding of humanism in order to understand why so many things changed during the Renaissance. So please attend that. And then on Fridays, this is the general office hours for help. We'll be focusing mostly on that formative assessment to help you finish that up if you're having difficulty getting started or knowing what to say. So that, again, is going to be from 2 to 2:25 specifically. Will be focused on getting help for that formative assessment. All right, so now that you know what you have to do for the week, we're going to come to our presentation. Okay, this presentation, we're really proud of. Mr. Ferrante worked really hard to make this presentation accessible to everybody. So in this presentation, okay, our focus this week is going to focus on how culture in Europe changed between the Middle Ages, which we've already learned about with the knights and the kings and the Black Death and all of that. How did that change as we move into the period called the Renaissance? Okay. Now, something I really want to point out here is, first of all, if you click on this, this is going to give you the lesson guide for the lesson, or you can use the one that has been attached to the assignment on Google Classroom that already has your name on it. It's up to you. Anytime you see this symbol on a slide, if you click on it, it will read the text on the slide out loud to you. Okay. Now, this Chromebook I'm using is old, and so I keep getting this message. But I tried it on my phone and I tried it on my other laptop, and it works just fine. Just keep in mind, for some devices, you may or may not be able to hear the sound. So just try it out and see what happens. But this is a really useful tool because it guides you through what is written on the page. We have included our daily pacing guide into this presentation to help you know exactly what to do each day. Okay, so this will show up. Today is Monday, so you'll be looking at our mastery objective, the instructions, the pacing guide, which we already did. You'll be doing an activator, and then you'll be getting a video overview of the Renaissance. So our pacing guide has a section for this activator. So you're going to take a look at this picture, okay, and you're going to study it really closely like we always do in social studies. We're going to be looking at the details, and you're going to be figuring out what examples of education do you see in this painting. So what in this painting lets you know that these are educated people? Also, what examples of wealth do you see in this painting? So what else can we see that would make us believe that these people are not rich, but they're very comfortable, they're at least middle class? And again, please take your time to look carefully at this picture. This painting has so many cool details in it, especially right here. The painter even took the time to paint a reflection in here. So if you make your screen bigger, then you'll be able to see all the cool little details in here. So just capture your thinking here. What examples of education do you see? What examples of wealth do you see? Then you are going to watch the video, okay? As you are watching this video, keep in mind, how would you define the Renaissance based on what you saw? Also, there's a lot of information in this video that will be useful later on in the lesson, okay? After you have watched the video, okay, where you're going to get a definition of the Renaissance, which you will need to fill in here, okay? Blue means you are filling in these blanks, okay? Then there's like a little challenge question here for you to answer, and that's it. That's day one. Okay, so you've got this here. Day two, okay, again, you're going to review your pacing guide and what you need to do for Tuesday. If you're following this pacing guide, of course, you can go through the whole lesson at a different pace if you want to. But if you're going to follow our pacing guide for Tuesday, you're going to review the vocabulary, and there's a vocabulary section on the lesson guide. And there is a game that you can play to make sure you understand the vocabulary. So here's your instructions. So in the following slides, there are vocabulary terms. You're going to complete vocabulary notes, and then you're going to play either Quizlet or quizzes to make sure you know what each word means, because you're going to see them constantly through this whole week's lesson. All right, so you're going to go through the slides. You're going to fill in the blanks. Okay, the blue indicates that a word needs to go here, and we've given you the starting letter of the words to help you figure out what to write there. Okay, and again, the slides you can have it read to you, okay, by clicking on that speaker button. Now, also on this day, you're going to watch a video that shows an example of cultural change. Okay, and as you are watching the video, you're going to think about what caused the change to school lunches over the past 100 years, and what are the positives and negatives of change. And there are some notes that follow for you to kind of consider. And then outside of what is in the slides, are there other positives and negatives that you can identify? Okay, so the video is here. As you watch this again, what caused this change, just based on this example of school lunches? And there's text that shows up in the video that will give you some additional information. And you're gonna pass a judgment. Do you think cultural change is positive or negative just based on what you saw of school lunches? Okay. And then we have a chart here that shows kind of some examples of cultural change, some pros and cons, and then what are some other things you can identify. And that would be the end of day 2. Day 3, we're going to kind of do a quick review of what we know so far. And then you're going to compare art and science in the Middle Ages to how it changed during the Renaissance. So if you come back to your thing, again, it's going to be fill in the blanks for you as you go through the slides. And then you're going to be using something called a thing link. Okay, and I'm going to come down here to show you how this works. Okay, just kidding, here's the instructions. Okay, so if you click thing link, it's going to open a picture, basically. And again, sorry, I'm using an older Chromebook, so it takes a bit. Okay, so using this thing link, you're going to complete the art and science portion of your graphic organizer. Thing links are cool because it has a picture, but it also has these plus signs that you can click on to get more information. So for our section on art, okay, we're first going to look at how was it in the Middle Ages from 1000 to the 1300s. Okay, so you can click this to get a bigger view of this painting right here. Okay, this painting shows us that art appeared flat and two-dimensional. Okay, very cartoonish. There was no depth. Okay, there was a very limited use of perspective, meaning everything was just kind of right in the foreground. There was no background. There was no foreground. It was a flat painting, and most art was religious in nature. Okay, so you weren't seeing paintings of just like, people going about their daily life. Most of it was religious. Most of it revolved around Christian kind of images and stories. So then you're going to come over here to your thing link and you're going to look at art. Okay, you're going to click this, and again, it tells you during the Middle Ages, okay, art had religious themes, and artists didn't know how to show realistic art. So as you can see here, everything's flat, and even though in a normal situation we would see depth, we would see foreground and background because we would have to show that these people are kind of surrounding this table, they all look like they're just kind of laying flat on top of each other. Oh, one other thing. This right here will read the text to you. So if you want it read to you, you can click that. Click on this other plus sign, and this shows and gives you details about how the styles change. So if you look at this piece of artwork from the Middle Ages, it's going to show you how it changed. And as you can see here, art during the Renaissance became much more realistic. People had depth. There was use of light and shadow, all kinds of things that made the art look more realistic. So once you have looked at all of these, okay, and here's another one that you can click, you are going to fill in your graphic organizer with at least 3 facts that made art in the Renaissance different from art in the Middle Ages. Okay, so 3 facts. So you have 3 over here, you need 3 over here. You're going to do the same thing with science. Okay, so you're going to come up here and you're going to click these plus signs to learn about science and the differences. Okay, so after you've done art and science, you can be done for the day if you want. Okay, if you want to keep going, of course, you're welcome to keep going. Thursday, and I should show you one here. That's the end. Thursday, we're going to do another little mini review. What have we learned so far? And then you're going to complete the thing link chart activity on beliefs, or the idea of humanism, and exploration. So we come back to our lesson guide, and you're going to see there's more fill in the blank notes that will kind of remind you of what you've learned so far. Okay, and these would be the slides that you're going to take the notes on. You're going to come back to the thing link, and you're going to be comparing humanism, which is beliefs, and exploration. How were they in the Middle Ages, and how did it change during the Renaissance? And you're going to capture that on this chart over here. And remember, 3 things for each. So 3 facts about beliefs, 3 facts about exploration. Okay, and make sure you're actually going back and comparing. How was it in the Middle Ages, and then how did it change? Because that's the whole idea, is how did society change during the Renaissance? Okay, once you've done that, you're again done for the day if you want to be. If not, you're welcome to continue. So day 5, okay, is where you're going to be focusing on getting that formative assessment done. This formative assessment, you have a choice on how you complete it, okay? You can either write a paragraph when there's space for that on your lesson guide. You can type in your response here. And by paragraph, here's what you need to have. You need to have a thesis statement, and you need to have at least 2 examples to support your thesis statement with justification, okay? You have to explain. So one reason why it was important was whatever, because whatever, okay? You need to explain your thinking. So that's option 1. And you only have to pick one of those areas that you studied, okay? So you can do beliefs or exploration or science or art. You do not have to do all 4. You can just pick one. If you want to do more than one, that's fine. But don't feel like you have to write about all 4 things. The other option is to create a video response on Flipgrid. Flipgrid is really fun because you can just talk. You can verbally explain let's go back, which area of change you think was most important during the Renaissance, okay? And again, we're not looking for a specific answer here. We're looking for you to explain your opinion. So you can pick any of these areas. Just make sure that you have good notes here to support your opinion. For Flipgrid, okay, you're going to log in with Google because as a student, you have access to it. Okay. All right, and it says Renaissance Summarizer, okay? And all you're going to do is click this plus sign here, okay? Everyone will be able to see your video, okay? Teachers and other students will be able to see your video. And as a teacher, I can come in here, watch your video, and I can grade it right in Flipgrid. So you'll get feedback on your video. If you choose to write a response, you'll get feedback in your actual lesson capture sheet document. Okay, so you will be getting feedback. As you guys know, our formatives are usually reassessable. Most of them are, unless it's some kind of midpoint summative quiz. So we will give you feedback on your paragraph or your Flipgrid video. And if you don't like your grade, you can always fix it for a better grade. So once you've either done your video or you've written your paragraph response, you're going to turn everything in and you are done for the week. Okay. Please review this weekly wrap up. It's very important to know kind of what we just did and where we are going with this information. Okay. And again, you can always click this right here and it will read it out loud to you. Okay. I believe that you have to be in present mode, maybe. But so if you click on it and you're not getting an error message, but you still can't hear it, you might have to go to present mode. As always, if you have any questions, you can send a private message on Google Classroom. You can send an email to your teacher, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And I just really want to remind you guys to please come to our office hours on Wednesday, because this lecture on humanism is going to be really important for your understanding of not just the Renaissance, but also a lot of the ideas and advances that were made during this time have directly affected our life today. And so it's really important that you understand humanism and why it was so important and impactful. So that's all for this screencast, and I hope to see you all at office hours.